snow this week, so you
Oh,
know.
really?
It'll be cold.
Yeah,
I'm going snowboarding on Monday.
The kids don't get any snow days though.
Yeah.
Because they're already at home.
I didn't.
I like your hair. Did you do it yourself?
Who are you talking to?
You're live on Facebook.
Hi, Facebook people.
We are now live on Facebook. Well,
Ebonee, I did because I can't get out, so I did.
Yeah,
do it.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay, we're live now, Bahia. Stop talking about you.
Listen, welcome everyone to Wellness Wednesday, right. Black History Month.
That's right. Or is it? Anyway,
or is it?
What I wanted, or is it? We have a really special guest this evening, someone that I am particularly fond of.
Me too.
We are quite fond of her, and she's brilliant, but you'll find that out. Anyway, I just wanted to say something about last Wellness Wednesday.
No, don't do it. 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 This is not, we are very, listen, we are unapologetically ourselves on here.
All right, I was just very emotional.
Don't try. So what? You're pathologizing emotion.
All right.
People need to feel like that's okay.
I didn't want to, it's not normal.
It's perfectly okay.
Be off guard. Anyway, today I'm so excited because Ebonee Bell is going to be talking to us about the origins of Black History Month. And I learned so much from her class. I've actually taken it a couple of times and still couldn't get all the notes. So I am going to really put pressure on her to send me stuff because I just couldn't write enough. And it was just amazing. And in the manner in which she's going to share this with you today is going to be quite great. Now, the other thing, Ebonee, someone introduced you last time, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They did, but here, do we have a bio?
She probably sent a bio. Wait, let me check. I'll be right back. It's possible.
You could just pick it up. You do know who I am.
I do. I do know who you are, but I may get some things wrong. I know you are a Harvard graduate.
Yes.
In
education. Well, I'm a Smith graduate.
Right.
I got my undergraduate degree in literature.
Right.
English literature. And then I went to Harvard and got my master's.
All right. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, and again, but it's really nicely done. But I have to also just full disclosure, this is my niece. Okay.
And my cousin. The brilliance is in the family. We're connected to this brilliance you're about to see.
That's right. So we're going to, at this point, turn it over to Ebonee. Ebonee, you can share the screen and all the stuff you have to do, right?
I hope so. That's good. Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys for having me on Wellness Wednesday. I'm very happy to be here. A friend of mine told me that coming to my talk would be boring because Carter G. Woodson is boring. And I was so taken aback. I was like, wait a minute. Carter G. Woodson is not boring. I will show them all. I will prove that he is not boring. He was he was a phenomenal man. He was extremely disciplined and he had stamina because he had worked in the coal mines and he knew that he could outwork and outthink anybody. And so that's what you see him doing throughout his entire life, outworking, outthinking. And I think we can't do enough to honor him and the position that African Americans are in now in terms of our study of Black history and what that means to the nation. Because without Carter G. Woodson, there is no Black history, period. He invented it. and at a time when it really didn't exist. When I was first asked to speak on Black History Month, the first thing that I did was I wrote to the Library of Congress. I work at a library, and so it might seem like an obvious place to go, but I wanted to know if there was video of him. And the Library of Congress wrote me back very quickly and they let me know, yes, there is. It does not have sound. And they sent me the following video. So I'm gonna go to my presentation now. And you will see the first slide is of Dr. Carter G. Woodson in his office on Northwest 9th Street in Washington, D.C.
No, she just said there is no sound. Side is asking us. So just so in case you think you're having technical difficulties, there is no sound, but we're just watching the brilliant man right now in rare footage, right, Ebonee?
It's rare footage. I believe this is the only footage of him that exists, period. So I felt very lucky to have written to the Library of Congress and gotten the video and been able to show it to you. My brother Ifani, he posted it on YouTube so that other people would have access to it as well. And so if you're thinking about making your own Black History Month presentation, this footage is available. Yeah. Let's see if we can get to the next slide. Want that anymore. All right, Carter G. Woodson, his family, he was born in 1875. So that is after slavery has ended, but his parents had been enslaved. And he was one of 7 surviving children. And he wasn't able to go to school consecutively. He went to school on and off. And it wasn't until he was 20 years old that his obligations to his family came to an end and he was actually able to go to high school. So he goes to high school at age 20. And after having worked in the coal mines and helped his family out. And he completes his high school career in 2 years. So he finishes all of high school in 2 years and he becomes principal of his high school at that time. So while he's principal of the high school, he's also working on getting his bachelor's degree. He gets his bachelor's degree from Berea University also in English. And he very quickly gets his master's degree from University of Chicago. And he's just a phenomenal academic. You just are like, man, he just pounds it out after having had to work for so much of his life before he could do any educational work. He is the first person to teach a formal Black Studies course at a university. I want to make that really clear because, of course, Black people have been educating themselves about our history since we first got here, but this is the first course in Black history, which he taught at, any guesses? I mean, Dr. DeGrew, you know the answer already.
Well, of course. But I want the other people to join in.
Can you see the chat?
Huh?
I can see the chat. I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm trying to see.
Anybody know what university had the first Black study? It's very easy. If you guess, you'll probably be right.
Somebody said San Fran.
Nope.
No, it's obvious. It's obvious.
Harvard?
No.
Nope.
No.
Harvard again? Nope.
Come on. Think about the time. Think about the date.
Howard?
Howard is correct.
Hey. Good job to Margie Daniels. Okay. And Phoebe Echo Soul Smith. They both said the right one. Oh, sorry. Phoenix, not Phoebe. Okay, go ahead.
He is the second person to receive his PhD in history from Harvard. He did this in 1912. There was another person who got their PhD from Harvard in history before that. Very, very famous. I'll give you 2 points if you can tell me who got their PhD from Harvard before that. It's also an easy one.
Okay, who? Come on, people. What we got? Let's see. Who else? Anybody else got an idea? Who else got their PhD there?
before him.
Before Carter G.
In 1895.
1895.
It's a name everybody knows.
W.E.B. Du Bois.
W.E.B. Du Bois is correct.
Correct.
And that goes to Shira Clanay Stevens. And then Maya Ann also said W.E.B. All right.
He does teaching in the Philippines. This was very important to Dr. Woodson's eventual career in education. He teaches in the Philippines, and then he gets his PhD in history from Harvard. And he completes that coursework in 2 years. 2 years, just like knocks it out. And then amazingly, I can't believe this, he asked Harvard if he can take his exams early. Harvard has this system where you go on your interterm, you go on your winter break, and then your exams are due. Like I had papers due during my break. I wasn't playing around with my friends or hanging out at the coffee shop. I have papers due during the winter break, or you come back for exams. And so he didn't have the money to come back. And so he was like, can I just take my exams now? And they're like, no. so he didn't get to do that. Carter G. Woodson felt that the Negro History Week, which he instituted, was for the celebration of what people had already learned during the year. So it was the week between Abraham Lincoln's birthday and between Frederick Douglass's chosen birthday, because of course he didn't know his birthday. And that week was when people were supposed to demonstrate their knowledge. The kids that he was teaching were supposed to demonstrate their knowledge, do recitations of poetry, just demonstrate that they had what they had learned during the course of the year. He felt that you shouldn't celebrate Black History Week or Negro History Week if you hadn't learned anything. What would you be celebrating? And so by the end of his life, he's already like railing about the way that it's being practiced, because his idea is you celebrate what you learned all year long. And so I devised a quiz for us.
Woohoo.
So people will have an opportunity to answer these questions.
We need our own like blackenized Jeopardy music.
we do need some music, we do. Here's your, okay, so this is called the Carter quiz. There are 4 possible answers. The answer could be Dwayne Carter, best known as.
Are you talking about Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne is correct.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute. Are we?
People are like, yes, Lil Wayne.
It could be Lil Wayne.
See, Lil Wayne, I
I
did.
was like, Dwayne Carter. That's Lil Wayne. Okay.
I'm talking about, the answer could be Sean Carter, better known as
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. Very nice. That point goes to Bahia. Good. Could be former President Jimmy Carter. Or it could be Carter G. Woodson. Are you guys ready? Those are the 4 possible answers. And my friend was like, I couldn't remember them all. It's Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, President Carter, or Carter G. Woodson. Everybody ready?
Yep.
I got these wrong, but okay.
You don't have to get them right.
I haven't been answering because I know, and I think I know, but I don't know. But go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Next slide. Here's the quote. No man knows what he can do until he tries.
Which Carter is it?
Which Carter is it? Is it Lil Wayne? Is it Jay-Z, President Carter, or Dr. Carter G. Woodson?
I would say.
Wait a minute. It's not for you, B. Is there anybody else?
Let me look at what people are saying in the chat.
Okay.
One person said Woodson.
Okay. That person is correct.
Another person said President.
That's
that
correct.
person's right. Okay. Well, there you go.
That person is correct. Good.
Maya Ann said oh no, that's not right. Who's right? Adriana. No. Where is it? Oh yeah, Adriana Jennings said Woodson. She first, so she wins.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Here's the next quote. You can do what you have to do, and sometimes you can do it even better than you think you can.
Okay, who did this one? I see Carter G.
That's a good guess. Those people are not right.
I think it is.
You
Lil
can't
Wayne.
answer.
She can answer. She can answer.
I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's Dwayne Carter, but that's just my.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
that's not right. That's not
No.
right.
No, I'm wrong.
Any other guesses from the chat? I can't see the chat.
Carter G. Woodson. Another person said Carter G. Another one said Carter G. They came on later. You're all
Okay.
wrong. Sorry, Jay Z.
We have had everybody except the right answer.
Jay Z came up.
Do you all want some answers from YouTube? We have.
Oh yeah.
So Gerald Lewis says Dr. Carter, XXMM, Dr. Woodson. We got Jay-Z from Ramsey, Wheezy Baby from Bell, Lil Wayne from Saija. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Jimmy, Jay-Z, Jimmy, Jay-Z, Prez. So we got everybody.
All right, so we got it. It's,
Everybody. If you said
Jimmy
Jimmy Carter, you were correct.
So
okay.
our Rowan was correct over here, and Black Woman Reed.
Excellent.
All right. Good job.
Trying to tear down the past prohibits you from building up your future.
Now that sounds like some Carter G to me, but
It could be. It could
using
be.
words like prohibit, I don't know. Saying prohibits you. I would think that some of them rappers would be like stops you, but that's just me.
See, you got some bias going on. That's right.
I'm sorry. They could have said prohibit.
They could have.
Sure could have. Okay. Who else is saying? Jimmy Carter, I got. Dr. Woodson, Wheezy,
Who said Wheezy?
Liz Dwyer. Liz.
Correct.
Oh, look it. He said prohibit. I want to see Lil Wayne spell prohibit on a
Oh
regular.
man, that's
Oh, you are so wrong, but
Just saying. He's a very smart man. He just
he is.
stay
The
off the
burden of
syrup.
poverty
Stay off
isn't.
the syrup.
Oh, sorry. The burden of poverty isn't just that you don't always have the things you need. It's the feeling of being embarrassed every day of your life, and you do anything to lift that burden.
Let's see what people say. I know I think that. Somebody said they think Wheezy said that. Somebody else said, oh, no, they just said ha ha Bahia. Okay, let's see. I'm waiting for some more suggestions. Okay, no, still not seeing this. Come on, you guys, what's your guesses? Hove. So, Sean Brandon said Hove. Okay.
Yeah.
It is Jay-Z. Three, JoJo and Liz Dwyer all got Jay-Z right, and Sasha Beck.
Excellent to those people who know about the Hove. Excellent.
Excellent.
If you
I
fear,
don't know about the Hove.
Jehovah, Jay-Z. It's his many names.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Just like
know.
Wheezy is Lil Wayne, just in case you didn't know.
I didn't know that either. I was just
Okay.
gonna pretend.
you gotta know all their names. You gotta know all
Wait,
their
Liz said Mr. Beyonce. That's who Jay-Z is.
Then there's that. I know that one. I know that.
Okay. Okay,
If
go
you
ahead.
fear making anyone mad, then you ultimately probe for the lowest common denominator of human achievement.
That was not one of the rappers. I'm sorry, y'all.
Oh man. Why you
Sorry.
gotta do the rappers like that?
I know. I'm sorry. I just can't see it. I'm happy with Prohibit though. I'm impressed with Prohibit.
You know, over here, you are just not right. I raised
I
you.
didn't promise to be right. I promised to be me. Okay. That's okay. Who we got? Jay-Z, somebody said. Dr.
Okay.
Woodson, somebody said.
Okay.
Prez. Wait, why did somebody say but he has no faith in our rappers? I have faith in them when they're not on the syrup. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Let's see.
Wow. Okay. Press is correct. If you
Yeah.
said President,
So we got Jimmy
correct.
Carter. A lot of people said Jimmy Carter. Okay. Good job.
That is correct. Excellent.
All right.
Okay, this one should be easy. I'm far from being God, but I work goddamn hard. Come on. Come on. You can do it.
I mean, okay, let's see. I know who I think said that.
I know, right?
I'm not gonna say who I say. I think it is
Well,
one of the
tell me what the chat is saying, and then you can tell me.
President Carter just came up. Jimmy, that sounds like something presidents are forced to learn. I don't know. Somebody said Wheezy. Let's see. Wheezy, another Wheezy. One person said Wheezy as in wheezing, like a wheezy.
Oh.
J-Hove. One person said me.
Correct.
You
Whoever
are
said
correct,
me,
man. If you think it's you, you're correct.
Yeah,
Jay-Z
but
and
if
one
you
more
said-
Weezy.
If you said Jay-Z, you were right.
All right.
Yes.
I'm not a god, but that's what I thought it was. Because it sounds like
Yeah.
him. He's
Yeah,
always talking about
exactly.
he's not a god, but he is a god. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It sounds like him. It's hilarious. A lot of times you have a conversation with someone and he's like, you speak so well. I'm like, what do you mean? Do you understand that's an insult?
Okay, Lil Wayne. Somebody said
That's
Lil
gotta be-
Wayne.
that's
Lil
gotta be-
Wayne.
Lil Wayne. I think it's Lil Wayne.
It sounds like Lil Wayne. Me too.
Okay, should I go to the next screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, all we got is Lil Wayne right now.
All right.
All right. Oh, really?
It was
Okay.
Jay-Z again. It was
All right.
Jay-Z.
Oh, wait. Why somebody say that one is for Bia? Whatever. I give them, listen, stay off the syrup, but I'll give you more credit. All right, moving on.
The mere imparting of information is not education.
Oh, I think I think it's
Carter
Carter
G.
G. Carter G. That's what I think. Somebody else just said Carter G. Yep.
I mean, it's about education. This is the work of his entire life. So-
Right. I was gonna say, he just said, "What did you learn?" And you can't. impart
Right.
because
You
can't
he's
learn
all
anything.
about it.
Right.
So that is Dr. Woodson.
Look at that. I think we should take pictures like more often.
Woohoo. Yeah, we got it. We got to look.
I mean, I'm saying,
I
I
cannot
feel like
find-
we should be like,
He looked like he's not playing.
he's
You
not
know?
playing with you.
Yeah.
He's not gonna look at you. He's like, camera, you can't handle the truth.
What I just, what amazes me about Carter G. Woodson, what I want folks to think about the time that he lived in, and as brilliant as he was. Can you imagine? I mean, I know that I don't have an inkling. I have so much respect for this man. He made a statement, and anyone that's seen my presentation. Matter of fact, is it okay, Ebony, if I read the quote?
I hope it's not one of my quotes coming up. I only have.
Wait, Joy.
No,
Wait,
go ahead,
wait,
go
Dr.
ahead.
Joy.
I got it. I
I'm
got it.
scared. I'm scared that it's gonna
No, she can do it at the end if you don't have it. Go
You
ahead.
don't have
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Go ahead.
That'd be perfect. A fundamentalist can't bring himself or herself to negotiate with people who disagree with them, because the negotiation process is itself an indication of implied equality.
Dang,
Wow.
that's dope.
Let's read that again.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about this lately. A fundamentalist can't bring himself or herself to negotiate with people who disagree with them, because the negotiating process itself is an indication of implied equality. Just having a conversation with people implies that you're on an equal plane of existence.
Interesting. Wow, that's powerful.
Somebody said that recently around the discussions, or it was talking about how we should not be focusing on, what was it? It was saying the same thing about like focusing on or making the comparisons, saying this is what Black Lives Matter is doing versus what these, the insurrectionists were doing. And it was like talking about them together is basically equating them. So that's not even that, right? Same kind of ideas. Like that is not equal. So why are we even, engaging in
them in the same
what would
breath.
happen if it was Black Lives Matter? Like, why are you even bringing that up? That's not the same thing at all. So yeah, makes sense.
Okay, who said this one?
So I'm getting yelled at on YouTube. I got to read some of the answers.
Okay.
I'm not representing correctly.
All right.
So King Daniel says Jimmy Carter. XXMM is Jimmy Carter. R. Rowan says Woodson. And Menguita Palacios says President Carter.
And if you said President Carter, you were correct. Somebody who is always at the negotiation table. So.
Absolutely.
Right.
In the long run, there is not much discrimination against superior talent.
Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. I'm with that one.
This one will be easy at the end. After the whole presentation, you'll be like, oh yeah, definitely. Do we have any guesses yet?
We have, let's see, Jay-Z. Let's see. I don't see any more on this one. What about you, Side? Anybody over there?
Ramsey's 7 says Hove.
I see Woodson.
Ramsey's, he's guessing everything. He said Woodson, Hove, and then
Can't guess everything.
Kaylee is says Jay-Z.
I see Jay-Z.
Joshua
Liz
says
said Hove.
Sean Carter, Saja. I hope I'm saying your name okay. Jay-Z. We got Jay-Z, Woodson, Carter, Jimmy Carter, Wayne, Lil Wayne.
Wow, everybody. All right. This one,
Little
this one is definitely Dr. Woodson. He understood that he was a superior talent. Okay. He's not like a shy and humble person.
All you had to do was look at his picture.
Right, exactly. You know, he understood that he was
smarter than you. That is what
correct.
everything he said.
That is what he said. Yes.
That is what he said.
I say to you quite frankly that the time for racial discrimination is over.
When was the time for racial discrimination?
And it's always the right
It's always time. It's Miller time.
Right.
Time for racial discrimination.
Correct. It is time for it to be over. But who said the quote?
I got Woodson, and then they said hashtag mood. That's the mood they're in. All right. Somebody said, yeah, his picture told you in that last one. Liz said bling bling with the books. Okay, we got Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, if you said President Carter, you were right. Definitely. There should be no indulgence in undue eulogy of the Negro. The case of the Negro is well taken care of when it is shown how he has influenced the development of civilization.
Well, I'm hoping nobody else is calling us Negroes right now.
It should be easy, right?
I don't have no problem. I don't care what you call me.
I'm just saying, if anybody else is calling me a Negro right now, they got some negritude issues.
Okay, well, this one should be easy, therefore.
Yes, Woodson.
Woodson is correct.
That's what everybody's saying too.
Excellent. Yeah.
What I appreciate about that statement, though, was that he really got it. There's no need for a eulogy. All you have to do is look. It's in the words of James Brown. I don't need nobody to give me that and open up the door, and I get it myself.
That's very cool. Much the attitude of Dr. Woodson. 100%. That's
us. Though we put our stamp on everything. If you let us do anything, if you want us to skate, we're gonna skate in a way you've never seen. We're gonna do backflips on the skates. If you want to see us, do gymnastics, we're gonna invent new movements for our gymnastics. Like we're gonna take something and throw something on it that is magnificent and amazing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Joy, that was the statement you wanted to share, the undue eulogy one?
No.
Oh, okay. Now's a good time. Go ahead. Okay.
It's in his famous book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And he says, the same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and has accomplished everything worthwhile, depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of genius in the Negro by making him feel that his race does not amount to much and never will measure up to the standards of other peoples. The Negro, thus educated, is a hopeless liability of the race. The difficulty is that the educated Negro is compelled to live and move among his own people whom he has been taught to despise. As a rule, therefore, the educated Negro prefers to buy his food from a white grocer because he has been told that the Negro is not clean. It does not matter how often the Negro washes his hands then, he cannot clean them. And no matter how often a white man uses his hands, he cannot soil them. Of course, this is a miseducation of the Negro. And from that learning, I have named that post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Woo!
Absolutely.
All the connections.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
He despaired because the people who were coming out of these elite colleges, all of these Black people, they didn't want to talk about Negro history. They didn't think there was anything to talk about. And so he couldn't find people who were going to pass on his torch.
Right.
See, and that's where that quote is coming from. He's saying, look, these people are messed up, and now I can't even count on the fact that I'll have people coming after me to continue my work.
Wow.
That's what he's despairing about, that,
Right.
particularly.
And just the whole idea, I think he is an assessment that he does that, again, of everything we've learned, like Blink, the fact that, we as Black people and people who have been socialized in America have this bias even towards themselves. So you have Black folks, that unfortunately are the ones that get elected sometimes. Sometimes they're the people that get the position at the job or the corporation. And these are ultimately gatekeepers, people who so despise themselves that they actually become a problem for any other person of color or Black people coming through. So they are the ones that, again, and I say this with all honesty, that they're the ones that most white employers are attracted to. The kind of person of color, Indigenous, Latinx, African-American person, most willing to subdue their natural cultural reality in favor of the dominant culture. So white people go, don't you just love, Richard? Don't you just love him? And again, everybody Black in the space is going, Lord, how are we going to circumvent the fool? But again, what he's speaking about way back then is what we see happening and showing up today. And this is something that is a problem because we've been socialized to ignore who we are and to put down who we are. And again, Carter G would have no part of that.
He would not have any part of that.
Do we have more slides?
I do have a more presentation to share with people, yes. Okay. I want to just make sure that we go over what he just said. There should be no indulgence in undue eulogy. This is, you don't gotta cry, Black people never did anything, all of that. You don't have to worry, because if you simply tell the story of history, absolutely, African people will be well represented there. And I found this article in looking for information about Cotton Mather and Onesimus. I found this article and I want to share it with you guys. I have taken the pictures and the text and blown them up so it doesn't look like an article anymore, but you can see all of the pertinent information if you look carefully.
I just want to say one thing to you, Ebonee. The people have said, amen, amen, Black faces and white spaces. Say it again for the people in the back. Right. And then one person, our dear friend Liz, said, and then folks will tell you that this other Black person has no problem with their whack racist behavior. Right. That's an excuse, right?
Yeah.
Says,
always find one.
Right. Right, exactly. No, it's funny. Anyway, people are feeling you in the presentation and the quotes.
Well, excellent. I'm glad that I wanted a way to share a lot of the wisdom that Carter G. Woodson had written and spoken. And so those quotes were my way to get people talking about what things that he had said. This article is called How an African Slave Helped Boston Fight Smallpox. I was actually telling this story to a friend of mine over the phone. Cotton Mather, I call him Cotton. I know I'm not supposed to call him Cotton. I call him Cotton, that's his first name. It's a family name. And his family wanted it known that he is descended from two great families, the Cottons and the Mathers. So they gave him a last name as a first name, and that's why he's called Cotton. Cotton he went to Harvard when he was 12, 13, something like that. He was a minister, and he was born, I think, 1670. It was in the 1600s. This was a while ago. And his church bought him an African man whom he decided to call Onesimus, after a slave in the Bible. And one day he and Onesimus were talking, and he was like, well, how come you're not afraid of getting smallpox? We have news that there's smallpox in the area. Have you already had smallpox? And Onesimus answers yes and no. You see, in my village, back in West Africa, they cut your skin and they put a bit of the smallpox in there. And then after you have a lesser form of the disease, you're forever inoculated against it. This form of inoculation is actually called variolation. It's called variolation, and it's different than what we do now because they actually use live virus in it. So you have the potential of actually getting smallpox from the variolation. But your chance of dying from it in this form decreases from 20% to 6%. So if you're variolated, your chance of survival goes up, actually, even though you still are using live virus. The public health people, I don't want them to get all mad at me. And, oh, she talked about inoculation and it's really variolation. Okay, it's variolation, but nowadays we would say it's a form of inoculation. I just take you through the article really quickly. The idea behind this treatment came from Africa, in red at the top. And then you have an editorial comment from the author, Ted Widmer. The solutions we most need often come from the places we least expect to find them. Right, exactly. West Africa would be
least expect to find
that's
them.
where you would least expect to find a solution to a modern day problem is West Africa.
My little kid in my class for Black inventors would beg to differ, sir.
Right? It's crazy. Medical knowledge was still primitive. Well, I was already like, wait a minute. Not all medical knowledge is primitive.
That's right.
One group's medical knowledge was primitive and one group's was not. But we're so prone in our society to say, well, obviously everybody was just primitive at that time. Actually, there was a form of medicine that was being practiced in the 1600s and 1700s. It was used for just about everything. And it was, let me know in the chat if you know what kind of medical procedure you could expect to receive if you went to a doctor in 1700.
A doctor where?
If you went to a doctor in North America.
North America. Okay.
Or in England. In 1700, there's one practice that they're going to give you for everything.
All right, guys, what's the practice? I'm waiting. What's the practice? You got anything, Si? I don't have anybody guessing yet over here.
I stumped people?
It looks, somebody said bleeding.
Bleeding.
That's it.
Yeah, bleeding
That's
over
right.
here.
Bloodletting. Yep.
Bloodletting.
So,
H, whoever that was.
yeah, so exactly
Yep.
right.
Did you? Yeah. Okay.
While he's saying that it's primitive, while European medicine is advocating bloodletting for everything, you have in West Africa this idea of variolation. So they're not actually similar. They're not at similar places. Not at all. No, not at all. Cotton admired Africans, but he accepted slavery. This is a point that I want to do more research on. This is early enough, at least in colonial New England, that ideas about whether Africans are evil or not are not universal, not yet, right? So there's a possibility at this point that Africans could have become a part of the society and worked and been part of it, but
that's what reminds me of the when I was watching Bridgerton, right? And they were saying that Bridgerton is not it is not rewriting history, it's an alternative history, which could have happened had things
gone another way.
Another way. That's interesting. Yeah.
Onesimus was a pretty intelligent fellow. This is Cotton's own words about him. And then you have the only information we have about Onesimus, unfortunately, comes to us from Cotton Mather's diaries. So it's unfortunate, but we don't get to know more about what happened to him after he cuts out the picture, and he will. So Onesimus tells Cotton Mather about this practice, and Cotton realizes that this is a real thing. And in fact, it was not just Onesimus, it was any slave who had this scar indicating that they had variolation. they could expect more money. You could expect to pay more money for someone enslaved who had this scar. I did some more research and I found out that 20% of West Africans would have this scar. So 20% had been variolated. And I was like, wow, 20% doesn't seem like a lot to us nowadays because 80% weren't. But right now in Oregon, 10% of people have gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. So we haven't yet reached the state of 1700s Africa. Not with all of our modern conveniences, not with nothing. We haven't gotten to 20%. So they're still beating us. And I also realized that in order to get to that 20%, there has to be a widespread campaign to do it. So you have to have more than one person, groups of people who are out there daily trying to variolate people in order to get, because you can't accidentally get 20% of people vaccinated. It just doesn't happen. You got to make a mighty effort in order to achieve that. And so I realized, oh, somebody said, we're going to do this. And they got to 20%. At that point in telling the story, because I've been telling the story to my friend, she said, oh, now I know. I know what that line was in my textbook. She said, you know, the line that said, Africans were more resistant to old world diseases than Native Americans, and that's why they were preferred to be enslaved. That line in our textbook is incorrect. Africans didn't have a natural resistance to old world diseases. It's not natural. They didn't just wake up and were like, oh, look at us, we're naturally immunized against smallpox. No. This was knowledge and expertise. It's not a matter of nature. And at the very bottom of the screen, I'm gonna blow it up in the next slide. The colonists soon agreed that slaves from West Africa could be the solution to their labor needs. Africans had already developed immunity to European diseases. Really? How did we do that? We just developed it? It's amazing, right? But it occurs again and again and again. And I realized, oh, we have this thing where we don't want to recognize.
You can't attribute any knowledge base.
It all had to come from them.
Had to.
It's a lack of ability to see, oh, this is knowledge and medicine. It's not primitive. It's a lack of ability to actually attribute knowledge rather than some kind of natural immunity that doesn't really exist. It happens again in this paper, which I really love this paper. And it's also this weird thing is happening in these writings where, in contrast to Indians, Africans also had natural immunities to old world diseases. Here's the sentence again. You see it in all sorts of formats too, because it's like Africans and Indians are competing to be the best slaves in this sentence. It's a very weird format. Can you imagine? Like, did we win that contest or did we lose that contest? Definitely not natural.
Right.
So when Dr. Woodson says there's no undue eulogy in the story of the Negro, all we have to do is tell history in the manner that just tell the truth is all he asked us to do. That's it.
Tell the truth.
That's it. That's all he's trying to say. Just tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Absolutely amazing.
I'll take a break here in case you guys want to do something different. Okay. And we're slapping at Nats. Alrighty.
I told you I can't take it. But anyway, no, Ebonee, continue, because this is, again, I'm so excited that I don't know why we took so long to get you on here. I don't know. You should have been bothering us and saying like, hello.
I'm not going to bother you.
I'm just saying you should have been like, hey, you guys, because I saw this, what, last year or the year before?
No, yeah. I saw this a couple of years ago and she wasn't even able to do it in its entirety. But it was so impressive to me. And of course, like I told you, I was scratching down notes because I couldn't answer the questions. But what I realized too is, once again, you know, what I love about this platform of Wellness Wednesdays is it's really about, it's about healing. And part of healing has to do with knowing what's true, you know, and it's so, because of course it segues in this way directly into health and healing. And then you begin to look at what's happening statistically speaking right now in terms of COVID. You're looking at Black folks' reticence about everything, and for good reason. You know, you start looking at how knowledge has been manipulated, how we've been lied to, how things have been left out, how, again, you can't give anybody any credit for anything if they don't look like you. And you know, that whole way of thinking is what got us where we are right now, where you got people clutching the pearls and going, what's happened to America? And oh my God, because we've never known the truth.
So I have a question, real quick question. First, unfortunately, this has been flying by. We only have 15 minutes left. So
I know.
What I'm wondering is, how many more slides do you have? Just do you know?
Oh, you know, I made this presentation and I was worried, so I just made it go on forever and ever and ever.
Okay, so
Then I just stop, you know, at various points and see if it's over.
If you're available, I think we should do part 2 next week, because I don't want to rush you through your slides, and I think it's really important. And that will give people who weren't here today, I'll tell all your friends to go back and watch this one, so that they can be ready for next week. Part 2, because it's Black History Month, you know, well, for a few more days. So I figure, why don't we
gotta first find out if she's available next Wednesday? Have you asked?
Come on, Eb. You know she don't like last minute stuff. She's always telling me.
I know.
Come on, Eb. Check your
It's true, I
calendar.
don't like last minute stuff, but that's because I can't organize my day to get everything in there.
You already have this together. So let me know when you do it next week. Come on, Eb.
I will definitely look at my calendar. I have work obligations.
As do we, but here, Anise.
I have
next
work
Wednesday.
obligations. No, for real, because I work for the library, and so there are all these evening events that I'm
Okay.
gonna.
So this is what I need you to do. Okay, so
This one, I like that. This one good. Need you to
next
do.
week we're gonna have little kids, and people keep saying yes, part 2, do it, yes, please do it. So the pressure is on.
Yeah,
Yes,
too,
great
there's
information.
asking for it too over here. Yep.
See, so this is what I'm saying. If you can't do next week, okay, we are planning to have little bitty kids on next week. We're gonna be
Okay, good.
to little bitty kids next week, but we are hoping then that you will be available before Black History Month is over to do part 2. Gives people a chance to do part 1, and just find a Wednesday for us somewhere in there. Okay.
It might be. I will look at my schedule, and I promise you, I know who you are.
All right. Okay. Well, stop sharing. Stop sharing. But wait to the next one.
I promise you, I'll come back. I wanted to say a couple more things about Dr. Woodson. Let's see. You know, he was a superior academic, and he knew it. But before he went away to Harvard to get his PhD in 1903, he went to, I think 1904, he went to the Philippines. And it was in the Philippines that he was supervising teachers and teaching young Filipino children to read. And he found that the primers, the textbooks for teaching kids to read, were of no interest to the Filipino children, none whatsoever. And so he took a look at the textbook, and he found that the textbook talked about snow. The Filipino children had never seen snow. It talked about apples. They had never seen apples. It had houses, but not houses like theirs, so they couldn't recognize them as houses. There was nothing in the curriculum that he was trying to teach that the children could relate to, nothing at all. And so for me, if I were going to write a book about Dr. Woodson, that's really where I would start, because it's there that he recognizes the fact that you can't teach someone without their culture being a part of that education. People hold education because it's a part of their culture and it feels natural to them.
Well,
and so for me, that's really, there you go. There's Negro History Week, the beginning right there in the Philippines. I know you wouldn't think I know you wouldn't think that it began in the Philippines, but that's where he has this, realization. Oh, if you want someone to learn something, it has to reflect them. Right. It's obvious to us now. It's obvious to us now. So
No, it's not, Ebony, because we
it is?
that hard, hot mess of the curriculum and textbooks that I had when I was a kid. I mean, it's just nuts that or it's treated as though it's something ancillary. It's something, oh, we'll do a little sprinkle of blackness here or there.
Right.
No, when everything in our culture, in American culture, is centered around whiteness.
Yes.
Everything is centered around whiteness. And so, of course, it feels very natural to white children and white people. And therefore, if you cannot come into this understanding and grasp all this and get excited about it, there's something wrong with you. And again, we don't have to, all we need to do is step back and put into this the truth. And then we can have that representation. But in America, it's like, again, it's a special week we can talk about Black people, or a special month that we can talk about Black people.
Okay, so one more thing. Liz basically said, what do you say to people who say we don't need Black History Month because it's not what Dr. Woodson wanted? Or what do you think also about this Utah Black History Month opt-out that they just, my daughter was enraged about this, was bringing up in her class today, the psychology class. Well,
let me just go to the next fact. The two facts that I'm on right now are bolded. Mm-hmm. So one, I wanted you to note that I thought that his time in the Philippines was essential to the development of Negro History Week. But two, he goes to Harvard and he actually talks to his professors about Negro History Week and studying Black history. And they're like, you got to be joking, Carter. Negroes do not have any history. What would you even study? And they laughed him to scorn. I mean, they're not like gently joking. They're saying, you really don't have any history. You just appeared full blown before me. And you never existed prior to this moment. And so a lot of people say that Black History Month is born out of that experience. I say it's the both of them together. The experiences are back to back. He went from the Philippines and then to Harvard. So. But yeah, I think that he was struggling to get people to even think that Black people were worthy of study, right? So this idea that we no longer need Black History Month, well, that would suggest that we understand that Black people are worthy of study. And as long as we're still talking about Black Lives Matter and still trying to convince people that Black Lives Matter, then we still need Black History Month because we haven't achieved his goal yet.
Absolutely.
It's when we recognize, okay, everybody has contributed to civilization and we recognize everyone's achievements, that it no longer becomes necessary.
Right.
So long as we're still like, did Black people do anything? Do Black people have natural immunities that don't make no kind of sense? No. No, that doesn't even make.
This puts me in the mind. It puts me in the mind of the folks who say, well, that race is a biological fiction, which it is. It's a biological fiction. So why are we talking about race?
Because racism is because racism is real. Right.
It's real. Again, everyone's trying to find a back door out of this reality. I know that there are people right now, right, especially during COVID. I'm probably working more now than I ever had because now, people are realizing that the door is open and people are trying and kind of sort of wanting to be woke. And so, I try to accommodate them and be a part of their presentations for Black History Month, which is when they have the money, which is when they can, what I'm saying? So to recognize we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We still have doctors that think we don't feel pain. So we got to appreciate the fact that, these things are necessary. It's sad that it is. I think one day, and I'm very honest about this, in the future, that they're going to look back at these times and they're going to say those were some backwards people, that they had to make these divisions around race. But here we are. It's, again, the house that Isabel Wilkerson talked about. It's a house that we have inherited. We don't have to be there, but we got to deal with the cracks in the foundation right now.
Absolutely. No, I think Dr. Woodson would be unhappy with the state of affairs regarding Black History Month because, as I mentioned, he meant for us to study this all year long. But I also think he would be pleased that there are Black studies departments at all of these universities, including Harvard, which finally named their Black History Department after W.E.B. Du Bois. I kind of think Carter should have gotten it, but anyway, it goes to Du Bois. He's the first PhD in history from Harvard. So, but he didn't live to see that happen. Harvard never acknowledged that there was any such thing in his lifetime as Negro history. So, you know, Howard has the work of and gets the distinction of having the first courses in Negro history. Alain Locke contributed to that course as well. So he's trying his very best to build the ground upon which we stand. Like, he gives us education of the Negro prior to 1861, right? So that you know, Black people have always been educating themselves.
That's right.
Prior to the Civil War, people were educating themselves. They had schools, and people were donating land and money so that Black children could go to school. A century of Negro migration I threw that in there because it reminded me of Isabella Wilkerson's work.
That's
You
right.
know, she wrote The Warmth of Other Suns, and 100 years prior to that, Carter G. Woodson was working on the same exact project.
That's
You know,
right.
almost 100 years later.
Okay, one person said, this is actually from Iris to Saida to us, which is, Iris is my mother's sister and Ebonee's mother, my aunt. She said,
No, she's just bringing attention to the person that said it. She didn't say it.
oh,
So the person that actually says it, I'm so sorry. I was trying to type fast. So here I'm going to not even mess up this name. Sorry, folks. Okay, here we go. You can go for it. There you go.
oh, Yahuda Israel. Anyway, they said, would you say that having a Black History Month is itself perpetuating the idea that Black history is different or set apart from American history? Can't Black, Native, Latino, Caucasian history be one?
Yeah, it could, but it isn't. I mean, that's a really simplistic answer, but I learned all of these things as an adult because I strove to learn them on my own.
That's right.
Nobody, you know, sat down and said, Ebonee, you should look at Carter G. Woodson. And I, you know, a lot of people, unless you went and you have African-American studies major or minor, unless you took African-American history class, you didn't learn these things. And it has to be learned on your own.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, like I said, I have 4 degrees, 3 advanced degrees. What I have produced in terms of my own work and my own research and scholarship, I was not taught. I did not no one taught me. I had to go and search for it. I had to sit at the feet of people who knew, heads of you know, the Black Studies department. I had to take, you know, classes. I would even go and I couldn't even afford the class that Daryl Milner would let me just come sit in, because honestly, that's how I learned. And it wasn't something that I was taught. And what this person is asking this question, hey, let's go at the systems. You know how I feel about systems. When we start demanding it, and I'll tell you, be more honest, not just demand it, take your money away from the institutions, and trust me, they'll incorporate it. But again, they have no incentive to include it. They're pulling down statues and changing names of teens and taking Aunt Jemima off the little bottle. But they're still centering everything in whiteness. They're going, okay, can we go back to whiteness now? No, we're never going back.
We're never going. Okay. Well, okay. So Evan, do you have any more last little tidbits before we cut you for half part 2? Because we got 1 minute technically, and we don't want to delve people in, and because we want them to come back for part 2. We don't want to rush you. So what do you think?
I'll come back. How about that?
And then somebody just said, okay, so then somebody just said, you know, Black History is 365, right? So you can come back at any time. So just because Black History Month is over, if you can't come back until March, you still be back. People will be waiting to see us say, you know, the history you thought you knew part 2. But it won't be, you know, it might not be.
It does not have to happen in February.
It does not.
We're not bound by February.
Oh, too bad. We can't learn our history after February.
It's after. Why you talking about Black people? It's not February.
Right.
Oh my
Exactly. Oops.
I am so proud of you, Ebony, and I just love who you are and your brilliance and the fact that you took the
Stop
time.
sharing. Stop sharing so we can see
Oh,
your
sorry.
whole thing. Stop
Oh,
sharing.
sorry.
I just really
There
do.
she is.
And we don't hold back the compliments to this family, and I know that, and I respect and appreciate that we have the brilliance that we have, that we have always embraced our Blackness all the way back to the Black Educational Center, all the way back to the little tiny spaces we had in Portland to create just a sense of Black wellness. So I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so happy to share you with the Wellness Wednesday.
Everybody saying thank you. Learned so much. Thank you. People are so happy. Please go back, Ebony, and read all of the comments in the chat. I feel so lucky. Let me just tell you this side note. I know my mom is like bragging on my cousin, which is great, but let me brag on her a little bit. So my cousin is one of these people, and if you should actually go and try to find people who are like her, see if she has some connections to help you navigate library systems for your children, because I know that I had a very resistant third, fourth grade boy, resistant reader. He was not interested. And I just called my cousin. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to put together some books. I need some books that he would be interested in. And she, not only did she know all the books to direct me to, she compiled the list, and then she'd read them all so she could tell me why they were good. She's like, this is a Latino kid who talks to aliens. This is right. I mean, she gave me all the pieces, and it was so helpful. I had a stack of books, and there was the one about the girl who saved the world. She turned my daughter onto that one. The Black girl saved the world. Like all these different ways to engage our children in learning in a very anchoring way, which she talked about Dr. Woodson wanting for us, and understanding that people have to feel anchored to the material they want to learn about. She took that and she's doing that actively in her work. She is anchoring, and she started like was it the African American Children's Reading Hour or something?
I was one of the people hired by the library to do the research for that Black Story Times that we have at
Black Story Time. So it's been amazing. And she had to fight for it a little bit because it wasn't language specific, it's culture specific. Because I know that there was Latino, there was a couple other ones that were
Miss
like
Patricia Welch, who was the Black librarian at the North Portland Library, is the one who fought for that. Oh, and I came in and it landed on me. So but because she had done the fighting. Right. I'm specific and give credit where credit is due.
Well, I've given you a lot of credit to continuing to help us educate our folks. And, I don't know if people can kind of, follow up with you in any way. I don't want to overwhelm you, but
we'll create some lists and we'll put them in the chat so people can have book lists. If they're
we'll put them on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll make a list. So let's do that. Yeah. Absolutely great. It's always great, Ebony.
Always wonderful. Thank you.
I was happy to come.
It was I wanted it to be. I'm so
okay. Excellent. I'm so glad that you guys are happy, and I'm happy to come back whenever you like. So you know where I live.
That's right. That's true.
Sure do.
Sure do. Well, take care, Ebony, and everybody. Be happy, be safe, and be well. Be the healing. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody saying thank you. And then somebody said the library by Jefferson High. We know we got the locals. People are really happy about the list. Very happy with the list, and you're getting like tons of hearts and love. And I'm sure Saida, she's getting that love on the YouTube side. So thanks again, Eb. We appreciate it.
Okay. Are we